welcome back to Bodyhaven Soaps. My name is Darlene and I am the owner and creator of Bodyhaven Soaps. On this channel we go over business information, recipes, formulating, soap, and just everything. The whole goal is to help other fellow creators create. So today's video is just going to be a quick one, you guys. I got in my soap molds and I got in some of my ingredients I needed for some of the orders that I have received that I have to get this product made. Now I know I will get back to doing videos of recipes for you guys and demonstrations of, you know, how you do certain recipes, the steps and that kind of stuff, but right now the space that I have is a little bit small to be able to do that for you guys. I don't have enough room for the camera and everything, and I need to keep that room sanitary and everything. It's just a small area that I'm borrowing off of somebody else, so you just have to bear with me, but I do need to get this product made, but we'll go over everything very near in the near future as soon as I get my soap room back. Okay, so we're gonna go and open up these boxes and we're gonna go over the few questions I did get, just so these people don't have to wait for questions forever. All right, so let's take a look and see what's in the boxes. Okay guys, so this is the box of soap molds that I ordered. I actually found a company in Canada that makes some really nice soap molds. Before, I had ordered my soap molds from the States, which means I had to pay duty and Canadian dollars quite a bit lower than the American, so then I had to pay the exchange rate, so it was quite costly, but I did find this company which saved me a bit of money and they still look good quality from what I could see. I'm going to open the box here, and they had lots of good reviews. Okay, and I kind of like what they've done on the front of their box. Now, packaging to me is everything, you guys. When I order from somebody, how they package it is basically, you know, how much did they consider the customer that's getting this? How are people feeling when they open up that box? They did put a sticker on the front, you know, stop, do not proceed. Of course you look, because you don't want to wreck something. Open it on camera, you know, make it fun, and thank you. And then they put a little thank you note sticker on here. So kind of done up really kind of neat and fancy. And when I actually started opening it, and then I seen the stop sticker, and I'm like, you know, you're right, I should do that on video. So that's what we're going to do. So let's see the new soap molds I got. Alright, so this is packaged quite well, a nice sturdy box. And you guys, when I do order things, I mean, there's got to be lots of filler and things like that. I tend to use shredded paper, or in my gift boxes I use the shredded wood. But I save this and I will use this again, and I try to recycle it. So I will save this and I will use this to ship some of my wholesale orders that I have coming up. And it's more boxes inside boxes. Okay, 1 second, I'm going to... Okay, and then we get inside here and we've got more fill so that things don't smack around. Once again, I will be saving all of that and reusing it. And then we have the actual soap mold. So definitely wrapped really well. And this is all, looks like, in shrink wrap. And this is from Winston and Walters out of Quebec is where I ordered this from. Okay, and they're really nice molds. They've got a really nice finish to them. If you can see this, they've even got the little notches in it for embeds and things like that for the 1-inch soap bar, so you can put your notches in there. Both the side panels do come out of this soap mold, like so. Oops. And then this mold here, this is really sturdy. So this is a pretty thick mold, okay? And this is what I will use to make my soap bars out of. So I ordered 2 of those. If you guys have seen in my previous video, I had other molds that were lined like this, but they were the slab molds. Okay, and they do sell the slab molds, but I opted to go with this just because it was more affordable for me, and I could start getting multiple different batches out. Rather than make one huge batch, I can get some of my essential oil bars made, which are really popular and people are requesting right now. And I can get some batches drying and going, so I can get 2 batches going at the one time. So I got 2 identical molds to this, you guys, and they look awesome. I'm pretty impressed. So those are my new soap molds. All right, let me move things around and we'll get on to the next box. Okay guys, and the soap molds, as soon as I'm able to start doing videos with making soap and stuff like that, we'll go through using them and see how they release from the molds and cutting our soap and stuff, okay? But for right now, we're gonna move on to this. Now this is a bunch of supplies I ordered from Windy Point for the ones that are have sent some monetary donations and people on my Patreon. This is what the proceeds from that is going to. And once again, you guys, I already know how these guys package. They package their stuff awesome. I've always loved how they've packaged their stuff. It's funny because we'll have certain things that companies that we are just attached to. Okay. I got a couple bath bomb molds. So I've got, this is the cloud, and this one here is the mermaid egg. So I ordered a couple of theirs. I had never used their bath bomb molds before, but I did buy one the last time I ordered, and they work really well. So I ordered a couple more. So I got a couple bath bomb molds. Okay, and then I have a package of BTMS 50. I use a fair bit of this in different recipes, so I did buy, it is cheaper if you purchase things in large quantities if you're going to use it all and it's not going to expire. This will get used up, so I have my BTMS 50. I also ordered a package of DL Panthenol, okay? And that's a fairly large package, you guys, but I use it in different things. And the amount that I saved was, but this is a lot of DL Panthenol. Okay, I have a small package of activated charcoal that I purchased. Some acetyl alcohol. And the good old cocoa wafers, cocoa butter. I do get both kinds, you guys. I get the refined when I'm using this in products I don't want that cocoa smell, but I do get the raw unrefined for the ones I do want that cocoa smell in. So I do have some of that. Some silk amino acids. And this will be the stearic acid. Okay, this has a fairly long shelf life. And I use it in quite a bit of stuff, so I got a fairly good 3 kilogram size package of that. I have sodium cocoa sulfate noodles. And a big package, okay, of the sodium cocoa isonate noodles, okay. I use this for quite a bit. As you guys know, I use this for my whip soap. I use this in my shampoo bars. And there's a number of other products that you guys haven't seen me make yet that I use this in. This is a rosemary essential oil that I ordered. Okay guys, and let's get these couple questions over. As I said, this is just a quick video. I just wanted to show you guys some of the stuff that I was getting in. To show you, you know, the steps I'm making forward, take you along on the journey with me. So those ingredients were specifically bought for some custom wholesale orders and that kind of stuff. And I also need to get a few more products on my website. Obviously, I don't have all the products and I don't have everything to make all the products I used to, but I'm slowly getting there. Okay, so question number 1, okay, if your oils expire, is it still safe to use them for personal use soap if they haven't gone rancid? So once your oils expire, that is the estimated expiry date. Okay, so I mean, I wouldn't, once they hit that expiry date, I wouldn't want to make something out of that and put it on the shelf, because I really have no idea how long the shelf life of that product is. But for own personal use, and I do a lot of testing with my stuff that's close to expire or just expired, as long as it hasn't gone rancid, and depending on what it is. Oils is one of those things that you will start to see in some of them a milky color, okay, that type of thing, or if they start to have that rancidity smell, then no, I wouldn't use them. But I mean, if you're just going to use it to make your own personal soap, like you've said in this, absolutely, why not? As long as it's not rancid and you're the one using it. Putting stuff like that on the shelf, we may see, you know, shelf life shorten that way. In a cold process soap, however, most of the oils do go through that chemical change and that saponification. So it's only that, well, I do my soaps at a 5%, and I think most people do, at a 5% super fat. And that's the amount of oils that do not get saponified. That's what a super fat is, and we leave that in there for moisturizing and that type of stuff, and also so to err on the side of caution to make sure that, in fact, all of that lye was used up in that batch of soap that we made. So absolutely, I would continue to use your oils. Okay, I would just, you know, for cold process soap, things like that, testing, why not? Okay. Second question, how to formulate percentages of preservatives for cream or lotion formulated with goat's milk, either fresh or powdered. So we'll just state right off the bat, I probably wouldn't make lotion with a milk product in it. And if it is fresh goat's milk, it has not been pasteurized. So now you've got good bacteria and bad bacteria in there. So I definitely wouldn't suggest doing it with raw milk. Okay, and I know you guys see lots of the goat milk lotions and stuff like that out there. Milk is one of those things, once you've put it into a product, it is really, really hard to preserve. You can use it, however, your shelf life is going to be extremely short. With the wrong preservative, even if you keep it in the fridge, 1 or 2 weeks, okay, is all that's going to be good for. And even with the proper preservatives, and usually it's a blend of preservatives, they don't just use one kind, but you got to make sure those preservatives are compatible, and you have to make sure that they're hitting all of the bacteria that we're looking for, because now we've added a milk product into that, whether it be powder or whether it be fresh. Okay, but there's usually 1 or 2 preservatives in there, not just a single preservative, because of the amount of different types of bacteria that can introduce. And honestly, I would never use fresh, unpasteurized milk in even my soap products per se, but at least those go through the saponification process. I do use goat's milk in some of my products, but that will be my soap bars, because they do once again go through that saponification process and that chemical reaction and all of that kind of stuff, and the water evaporates out of them. So there's a big difference between that and a lotion. All right. And if you were to put that in your lotion, you can expect a very short shelf life. And if I was to start using milks or any type of food product in my products themselves, I would definitely be paying the lab fees to have that tested prior to putting that onto a shelf. As a consumer, I would have a hard time purchasing things like that unless there was actually the documentation for it. Okay. That's just my opinion. There may be millions of other opinions out there, but once we start putting milk into our products, so I use it in soap bars, okay? I use it in my bath bombs. I use it in milk bath powder, okay? Anything that does not contain water, and like I say, the soap bars go through that saponification. That's where I would use my goat's milk. I wouldn't start putting goat's milk into my creams and things like that. You know, there's lots of those videos out there where they're using, you know, fresh avocado and things like that. And those are usually, you know, DIY projects, and they're used immediately. So if you want to make an avocado mask and you're going to use it right now, that's fine. But I wouldn't put avocado, fresh avocado, into a lotion and expect that to last. It's just not going to happen. You know, and I know we see lots of this out there, Lush being one of them, where they use the fresh vegetables and stuff in their videos. And honestly, I have no idea how they preserve that. Just don't do it. That's my personal opinion. Just don't. The amount of chemicals and preservatives you're going to have to use to be able to preserve that is so substantial. Okay. So I would probably stay away from that. You could try adding things that will bring the moisture to the skin. I would look into other options to add into your lotions other than a milk that will bring the protein. We have lots of those, you know, the hydrolyzed oat protein and things like that, where we can bring it into there, and different things that we can add in there to get the enzymes and stuff. I would do my research into that, but I wouldn't be putting milk or food products in my lotions or creams. That's my personal opinion. And I mean, I've never dove into the preservatives for that, because lots of times, like I say, there's 2 or 3. Okay. So that's as much information as I have on that, because I just simply have never attempted it because it's too hard to preserve. All right. Last question, we'll just quickly get through this. When creating custom blended fragrance oils and usage rates differ, okay, how do you determine how much of each is safe to use in a soap and other products? Also, is fragrance oil percent calculated by the total weight or the total weight of the soap before curing? Okay, so when we're formulating a batch of soap, let's just talk about percentages first, because that's how we'll get to the first part of that question. When I'm calculating a soap recipe, you guys, I calculate the percentages of the recipe. Okay, so when you go into soap calc, okay, you calculate your percentages of your oils. Okay, your lye percentage, your water percentage, and you can figure all that out. I do have a video on soap calc and how to use it. So we've got that figured out. We know how much, okay, oils are used in that batch. And now when I look at my fragrance oil, it says, well, I can use in a soap bar, you know, 3%. Well, that's more of an essential oil. Okay, so 5% or 6%, depending on what fragrance oil you have. I calculate it using those calculations that I have for figuring out percentages of recipe. Okay, so that's how I batch size. So I'll use soap calc to make sure that I have all of my oils saponified and I'm not having leftover lye, all those kinds of things. I would always use soap calc for any cold process or hot process soap. And then for the fragrance oils, it is just that percentage. So if you wanted to use the whole 5% of fragrance oil in your soap batch, you would figure out what is 5% of that batch. Okay, and then do your calculations just like I did in that video on how to calculate formulas. So that's exactly how you're going to do it in there. Simply do your simple math, right? Now that, I mean, this could be a whole video on fragrance oils and essential oils, without a question. There's a lot of information there, but simply figure it out as a formula and make sure that you have 5% or less of that fragrance oil, or your essential oil, depending on what is in there. Okay, now I do make essential oil blends myself, and like I say, that's a whole video on how to make a blend and do all your percentages and all that kind of stuff. So what I do, you guys, when I make a blend is basically I go through and I figure out my blend, and that can take some time and trial and error. So you know, you're doing 1 or 2 drops and then 1 or a drop of this, and it depends. I've got some blends that I've got, you know, 8 or 9 different essential oils in, and then I have some blends that only have 2. So the 2 is a little bit easier. But like I said, that's a whole thing. So if I do a fragrance oil, okay, blend for myself, I will figure out what I want in there. Okay, so I always do it with drops because I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of fragrance oil trying to blend all these things. So I'll put 1 or 2 drops of this and 1 drop of this, and I write it down. Okay, so now I figure out the percentages of each of those. So if I had 3 drops of rosemary and 3 drops of peppermint, we'll just use that as an example, and then I had maybe a musk or vanilla as my base note, and I put 1 drop of that in, so I would have 3, 3, and 1. Okay, that adds up to 7. So I know that that total blend that I have created and I like the smell of is going to be 7. All right, so now I just do my math and figure out, okay, 3 drops is what percentage of 7, right? 1 drop is what percentage of 7. So once I have that, I know how much percent of each of those fragrance oils I have in that blend. So now I can change that to grams and I can make a bigger batch of that blend because that's what I've decided I wanted to use. But I know the percentages of each that's in there. Now, when I actually add it in, because essential oils percentages of use can change, and when it comes to fragrance oils, you gotta be on key with that because they can cause skin irritations and those types of things, you guys, and you gotta be really careful with which ones you're using. There's some fragrance oils that I wouldn't put in a leave-on lotion, like cinnamon, those types of things. They can be very skin irritating. So really be careful of that. All right, but once you've got that figured out, now you know your percentages ratio in that blend. So I have, you know, this many percent of rosemary, this much percent of peppermint, and this much of vanilla, let's say. So I have that percentage ratio. So what I do when I go to make my soap, you guys, is I don't write it in my soap formula as a blend per se. I will write, you know, because I usually just number my blends, okay? Because I have a record book that I keep of that. Of course I do, right, guys? And then when I go to figure out for my soap batch, I'm not writing it as one blend. I write it as peppermint, rosemary, right? And then I just make sure that I don't use those over the percentages. That's how I do it. Now, I believe Brambleberry has a fragrance oil and essential oil calculator as well. I have not played on it too much, so I can't tell you how easy or hard it's to use, but basically just break everything into percentages. So when I make a blend, I break that into, because that's a formula. I've created a formula to create that blend, so I should know the percentages of the essential oils that's in that blend. And then when I go to make my soap, well, I've got rosemary, peppermint, and vanilla that I'm putting in that soap. Those are my 3 essential oils. They are broke like that, okay? I know that I need 30%, right? Whatever it happens to be. And then I just do my math, and I know how much of that blend to add. If that makes sense to you guys. Like I said, this whole essential oil thing of creating a blend, figuring out percentages to add, because there is such a huge difference, and with fragrance oil we really have to be on key. But it can't be any, it's not, you know, if you were going to mix fragrance oils together and they had different usage rates, which we don't see as much of in the fragrance oils as we do the essential oils, we can still go over our limits. So you really got to watch when you're blending any of those things, just like we do any other recipe, right? If I'm putting ingredients into any formula, I have figured out the percentage that I'm allowed to use that at. I have figured out, do they mix with all of the other ingredients, okay? Does it preserve well with the type of preservative I'm trying to use? And that's what we're looking at. So if my rosemary, what does rosemary have for, you know, rosemary is, say, you know, most fragrance oils are 3%, peppermint is, you know, 2%, then I just write it like that. That's my blend. I figured it out. I know what percentage is in that bottle, and I write it into my recipe as an individual oil, not as a blended oil. Okay, and that's how I safeguard myself. Now, I could show you how to do the math on figuring out your percentages of a blend, but I find that it can be really easy to make mistakes. So I personally just don't do it that way myself. It's a video we can do definitely in the future, but that's a long discussion, blending of fragrance oils and essential oils and how to calculate everything. So that's a full video in itself. That is something I can definitely look into in the future. Okay, you guys, so this was just a quick video. I do have to get some other stuff done, and I have a meeting this afternoon to get to and do all this other stuff. So I just wanted to show you guys the new soap molds I got, that I got some more ingredients in and that kind of stuff. And I think I'm missing part of that whole unboxing of the Windy Point stuff. I've got some of it, but I think my camera battery died on me there, and I'm not sure what point it died at. So apologize if I do the editing and that's what has happened. Hopefully that kind of answers you guys' 3 questions you sent in and kind of simplifies that a little bit for you. Any further questions, you guys, just send them in and ask, and I will do the best I can to answer them for you in future videos. So we have my pH tester should be in fairly soon, so we're going to do a video on pH, how to adjust pH, and how to properly test pH of your products. And I'm going to show you multiple different ways, because not everybody has that big pH meter and everything, and they may have strips that. So we're going to go through all of that. We're also going to go over preservatives, but I'm going to break it into sections because there's just so many preservatives. I can't possibly explain enough about a preservative and do 10 of them in one video. So we're going to break it into 2 or 3 preservatives in a video, and we'll kind of start from there and work on it as we get through that. All right, guys, so those are the 2 videos that are going to be coming up. I obviously have my Patreons, which you guys, thanks for everything. You guys have been great. I have a couple of them that I'm helping do formulating with. Plus, I got some orders going out for some wholesale orders. So, I mean, obviously, I've got priorities to take care of, but you guys, if I don't answer you in the first 24 hours or day or 2, I will always answer all of my emails at one point or another, and I don't leave them for a month either. So feel free to send me an email, and if I don't have time to answer it right away, I just move it over to my unanswered box, and then when I have a minute where I'm actually just sitting down and taking a break, I will go through and I will try to answer those as soon as I can for you guys. All right? Okay, so you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.